Hello, my name is Paul, and I am the voiceover for a ministry provided to you by Jim Pugh at God is Government called Your Daily Bread, taken from Christ's teaching of the Lord's Prayer in Matthew chapter 6, verse 11. This is a daily devotion ministry focused not only on uplifting scripture, but scripture that will grow your spiritual connection with Christ. We hope that you receive these devotions to uplift you, encourage you, but most importantly, advance your knowledge base of the Holy Scriptures. Today's focused discussion will be on understanding Islam's definition of life. Islam is the second largest religion in the world. We will look to the Quran to determine the Islamic's definition of life. The information used in formulating this definition was provided from the Islam Network Incorporated, and more specifically, the article written by Professor Dr. Omar Hassan Kasule Sr., Monday, September 6, 2011. Since the Quran and its teachers cannot clearly define life, we have taken the liberty of providing more information about life as viewed by Islamic faith followers. As stated by Professor Dr. Kasule Sr., human life started with the stage of Ruh, when Allah took the covenant, Ahad Allah ila al-Bashar. This was life at a spiritual level. It became life in a material form with the creation of Adam and his wife Hawa. They were created from clay and became humans when the Ruh was inserted. Biologically, the offspring of Adam and Hawa have continued transmitting the original biological material in the form of DNA all down the centuries from parent to offspring. The act of creation is repeated every time there is conception when maternal and paternal DNA combine to give rise to the fetal DNA. The act is completed by insertion of the Ruh during intrauterine life. In a biological sense, the unbroken continuity of life has not been interrupted from the time of Adam. It is pointless to try to define the exact moment when human life on Earth is considered to start because of the concept of the continuum above. This is of practical interest and not an academic interest. Defining an exact moment in the intrauterine phase for the start of life has legal implications in cases of contraception, abortion, inheritance, and homicide. We have to be careful about debates at the start of life. We need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose behind the debates? There are social problems of an ethical nature that people want to solve by defining the start of life. The interest is therefore not only legal, but is also ethical and moral. Once the point of start of life has been defined, then it is possible to legalize any medical procedures involving feticide, provided they are done before the defined time. Trauma, or any other man-made cause of fetal death, would be considered homicide only if it occurred after the defined start of life. In a similar way, a fetus would have rights of inheritance from the father if the father died after the period of the defined start of life. In all three cases, the analysis is wrong. Life existed before and beyond conception. Feticide is committed in societies that want to allow sexual promiscuity unaccompanied by the responsibilities of childbearing. Any aggression to the body of a pregnant woman is to be punished and should not be related to the life or non-life of the fetus. It is justice that any offspring of the deceased inherit to be able to have physical support. We can therefore conclude that the main motivation for defining the start of life is to escape moral and social dilemmas. Islamic law and teachings provide adequate measures for preventing these dilemmas. The issues of the start of life have not been studied in depth by Muslims. Study of subcellular structures may reveal new relations and explanations. Such studies also will clarify the boundary between the inorganic and organic parts of the body and the relation between life and the organic. The boundary between the world of the seen, alam al-shahadat, and the world of the unseen, alam al-ghaib, needs to be elucidated in biological systems. All of us agree, when we see a living thing, that it is alive when it is breathing, moving, and eating. There are several situations that are borderline and require a clear definition. Both life and death are earthly events. Life cannot be defined simply as the opposite of death. It is definable on its own. Life can be defined biologically, chemically, legally, and spiritually. It is not surprising that there is no one single definition of life. Life is complex, and its definition must be complex. The biological definition is not easy. Phenomena of death occur on a continuous basis. On a daily basis, cells die and are replaced. Some organs can die while the rest of the organism is still living. Even in situations in which the whole organism is considered dead by ordinary criteria, some parts of it could maintain manifestations of life for a long time. Organs of dead persons stay alive for a long time in transplantees. Human cells have been maintained in long-term cultures for decades. Life could also be defined in chemical terms as a series of chemical reactions in metabolism. These reactions are not much different from inorganic reactions that occur between elements. Viruses make a very fine line between life and death. One of the signs of life is dynamic change. There is growth and development. There is also degeneration and death. The elements that make up the human body are recycled. The degenerate cells and tissues, whether in life or after death, break up and become part of the earth. They are later incorporated into new cells as food, water, or air that is breathed in. Life could also be looked at in spiritual terms. Life without any spirituality is no life at all. Spiritual death could occur without biological death. Spiritual diseases could transform a human to be at the level of animals, or even worse. We can conclude that life is a complex phenomenon with biological, chemical, and spiritual components. Life can be described at various levels: Ru, the whole living organism, the organ, the tissue or cell, the molecule, and the atom. The highest level is that of the Ru, about which we know very little. We, however, know that the Ru is the essence of human life, and that it is eternal. Humans share with animals the biological nature of life, but they have, in addition, the Ru, which makes them special. The Quran mentions insertion of the Ru in the case of Isa, Fahb. The Ru is inserted in the fetus during intrauterine life to give it human life, Nafakh al-Ru. The body without the Ru has lost all the essence of a human being. On burial, most of the human body decomposes and disappears within a short time, and only bones persist. The Quran has mentioned the bones as a challenge to the unbelievers that he can indeed bring them back to life. The various organs of the body have a life and an individuality of their own, and will bear witness against the human shahadat al-adha. Life can be looked at in 3 stages: pre-uterine phase, uterine phase, the post-uterine phase, and the after-death phase. The Quran has mentioned 2 lives and 2 deaths. Life on earth is described as enjoyment, hayatakul dunya matau. Humans have a blind love for life on earth and its enjoyment. Life in the hereafter starts with resurrection. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of understanding Islam's definition of life. Until next time, remember to keep the faith, stay strong, and continue to shine your light in the world. To hear these daily devotions of your daily bread, please log on to goddessgovernment.com. Goodbye, and may your faith always lead the way.